We're taking a deep dive today into a concept that, well, promises to anchor your life. It's about providing not just satisfaction, but a genuine reason for being. We're talking about IKIGAI. Now, if you've been online at all in the last few years, you've probably seen the
Oh, the
diagram.
four circles.
The four overlapping circles, yeah. The one promising that perfect intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what you can get paid for, and what the world needs. And it's neat, it's tidy, and it's frankly just incomplete.
It's a wonderful visual tool for, say, career counseling, but it doesn't really capture the essence. So our mission in this deep dive is to get beyond that viral simplification.
Right.
We want to understand what Ikigai truly is, this existential sort of experiential feeling, and then look at the compelling measurable evidence that links it directly to physical health and longevity.
And then dissect the lifestyle practices, the actual actionable things from the world's longest living communities.
Yeah.
And I think we have to start by just acknowledging that this concept is notoriously hard to translate into English. It isn't just a mission statement, or a goal. It's something you feel in your body, an
Yes.
affirmation of your existence.
Exactly. And the difficulty in translation really underscores its depth. The term, it gained its modern scholarly focus thanks to a psychiatrist, Dr. Kamiya, back in the late 1950s.
Okay.
And she was working in facilities treating patients with Hansen disease leprosy, which was, at the time, a devastating diagnosis. It often led to isolation, profound physical loss, a loss of identity.
That is a setting where you would expect hope and meaning to be just completely obliterated.
And yet, Kamiya observed the exact opposite in some of her patients. You wondered why. Why, despite these catastrophic physical challenges, did some individuals not only maintain, but actually reinforce their sense of purpose?
So what were the examples she found? What illustrated this resilience?
They're actually deeply moving. She documented patients finding their ikigai in acts that really just affirmed what they could still do. So one patient who lost their vision focused all their energy on learning Braille, and that allowed them to continue the simple joy of, reading fiction.
Wow.
Another patient who had lost the use of their fingers took up haiku. And he used this short, precise poetry, not just to express thoughts, but specifically to articulate the texture of the air he could still feel.
So their purpose wasn't defined by what they lost, but by this heightened appreciation for the fundamental experience of just still existing.
That is the core breakthrough. Kamiya realized that Ikigai is this powerful experiential sense that arises when you feel deeply connected to your mission, whatever that mission is.
Right.
And crucially, she argued, it can be experienced most vividly when you face profound loss or crisis,
Yeah.
because those challenges reinforce the courage to live. It's a visceral, existential feeling that confirms my life still holds value.
So if that's the real core of it, then that clean, structured four-part diagram we see everywhere, it just completely misses the point.
It does.
It makes Ikigai sound like a transactional endpoint. Like if you just meet these four conditions, you unlock meaning. But it's not that. It's a state of being.
Precisely. That popular structure, what you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, what the world needs, it certainly guides a lot of people toward meaningful work, but it hides this deep philosophical tension that exists within Japanese culture itself.
What tension is that?
The tension between the individual and the collective.
Okay, tell us more about that. What are the two sort of opposing approaches to finding purpose?
So on one side, you have this individualistic pursuit. It's often defined as jiko jitsugen, or self-realization.
Self-realization.
Yeah, and this emphasizes finding and following your personal dream, your unique talent, your highest potential. In this view, Ikigai is really about optimizing the self.
Which aligns perfectly with Western ideas of individualism and, career fulfillment. That's probably why the Venn diagram got so popular over here.
Right, but the counterpoint, which is central to Japanese society, is that true meaning is found through commitment to a group,
The collective.
through family, culture, community obligations. This is the concept of itaikan, or oneness and social harmony. In this view, if your purpose is purely individualistic and doesn't serve the group, it's not truly Ikigai.
So if I find deep fulfillment in painting abstract art, that might be Jiko Jitsugen. But if I find fulfillment maintaining the shrine garden that serves my whole village, that's Itaikon.
That's a perfect illustration. And the sources suggest that the modern evolution of this, what some are calling Ikigai 2.0, it tries to synthesize these two phases.
How so?
It suggests that purpose needs both an inner purpose, the being, the conviction that life is worth living, and an outer purpose, the doing, the actions that make life worth living for. When those two align, that's what they call awakened doing.
Okay, this philosophical debate is fascinating, but But the most profound thing the sources tell us is that this subjective feeling, this idea, translates to measurable, concrete biological differences.
Yeah, this is where it gets really startling. The empirical data linking meaning and purpose to physical health is it's extensive. We're not just talking about feeling less stressed. We are seeing direct physical outcomes.
Like what?
Researchers have documented that people with a strong sense of purpose show faster recovery times from complex procedures, like knee surgery. They also have a significantly lower risk of physical disability as they age.
And the findings around heart health are particularly compelling, right?
Absolutely critical. Having a strong sense of meaning is associated with greater odds of survival following a myocardial infarction, a heart attack.
Wow.
This suggests that purpose isn't just some abstract psychological trait.
Yeah.
It's a genuine biological buffer against systemic health crises.
It sounds almost like a built-in defense mechanism against the pressures of modern life. I remember the sources mentioning a specific term for that systemic damage allostatic load.
That's a crucial concept here. Allostatic load is the cumulative wear and tear on the body's major systems.
The cardiovascular, neuroendocrine.
Right, and metabolic systems. It's caused by chronic, frequent, or severe stress. Think of it as the price your body pays for constantly adapting to challenges.
Okay.
And studies show that people who report a higher sense of purpose have demonstrably lower allostatic load. This means their bodies are physically better equipped to handle stress without suffering that long-term systemic breakdown.
So purpose acts as a modulator then. It lowers the physiological cost of just existing. But what's the exact mechanism? Is the purpose itself slowing aging, or is it behavioral?
It's a powerful combination of both. Behaviorally, it's pretty clear. Individuals with purpose are far more likely to engage in health-promoting activities.
Sure, that makes sense.
They exercise more consistently, they're less likely to smoke, they pay more attention to their diet, they believe they have control over their health outcomes, which just reinforces those positive habits.
Right. If you believe your life has meaning and you have a clear mission, you inherently value the vehicle, your body, that lets you carry out that mission.
Exactly. But here is the critical caveat that the research points to. While having found and experienced meaning leads to these profound physical benefits, simply searching for meaning does not appear to give you the same health improvements.
That seems counterintuitive. Why would the active process of searching not provide a protective effect?
Because the search itself is often accompanied by anxiety, frustration, a perceived lack of control. It creates internal conflict. The health benefit kicks in when that purpose is internalized and then enacted.
Ah, I see.
When you shift from the abstract search to concrete, intentional living, it's the difference between thinking about what kind of person you want to be and actually being that person.
So, if the key is intentional enacted living, we need concrete examples. And where better to look than the Okinawan centenarians, especially from the town of Ogimi?
One of the world's 5 famous blue zones, yeah.
Places where people live far longer, healthier lives than average.
And the Okinawan approach to life is basically IKIGAI codified into daily habit. It starts with their whole approach to work and retirement. They don't see retirement as a final stop, it's just a change of pace.
You know, it's often noted that there's no word in Japanese that perfectly captures the Western idea of leaving the workforce forever.
That speaks volumes. So the first core tenet from their wisdom is, stay active, don't retire. They keep working, engaging in hobbies, contributing to the community well past the age of 65. Purpose, for them, isn't tied to a paycheck.
It's tied to social function, engagement.
Right. They always have a reason to get up in the morning.
And that commitment to continuous engagement seems to be balanced by their general approach to life's speed.
Yes. They highly value the second tenet, take it slow. They live by the philosophy that being in a hurry is inversely proportional to the quality of life. This slow pace minimizes that chronic stress and that allostatic load we were talking about.
And we can't talk about Okinawa without mentioning their famous dietary principle.
Absolutely. The third principle is don't fill your stomach. They practice hara hachibu.
Arahachibu.
Yeah, it's a Confucian teaching that translates roughly as eat until you are 80% full. This is a mild form of caloric restriction that keeps them from overeating, helps maintain healthier weights, and is strongly linked in research to longevity. It's a small, consistent, intentional practice.
The fourth rule really highlights the importance of community. It ties right back to that concept of Itaikan collective harmony.
Their commitment to community is structural. They maintain what are called moai.
Moai.
These are close-knit, supportive social groups. They're often formed in childhood, and they provide emotional, social, and even financial support throughout a person's entire life.
That's more than just a regular friendship group, isn't it?
Oh, much more. A MOI is an institutionalized support system. If a member faces hardship, the group is there to help financially. If a member is struggling emotionally, the group provides constant accountability and connection.
Right.
Loneliness is one of the greatest predictors of a shortened lifespan, and MOI effectively inoculates them against it.
And the rest of their guidelines just reinforce this blend of mindful living and collective well-being. Things like prioritizing physical health, get in shape for your next birthday, and mental attitude smile.
And engaging with the environment, reconnect with nature, and practicing gratitude, give thanks.
And tying it all together is this acceptance of impermanence.
Right, they embrace Ichigo-ichi, the idea to live in the moment because each moment is unique and will never happen again. It cultivates a really deep appreciation.
Now, the practical application of this lifestyle involves a lot of movement, but it's not necessarily what we think of as intense exercise.
That's a key distinction. Okinawans don't often run marathons. They prioritize consistent, gentle movement. They're constantly gardening, walking, engaging in light physical tasks.
So it's about consistency, not intensity.
Exactly. Studies show that even simple habits, like standing up every 30 minutes or just that constant low-intensity activity all day long, it has vastly superior long-term metabolic benefits compared to being sedentary for 8 hours and then hitting the gym hard for one. They move the most, not necessarily the hardest.
So moving from the physical to the mental, that kind of consistent, gentle engagement in purposeful tasks is strongly connected to a mental state known as flow.
Flow is where the mental and physical aspects of Ikigai really meet. It was coined by the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, and flow is that state of total absorption.
Right. Time vanishes, self-consciousness disappears.
And the activity itself becomes the reward. The Okinawans are masters of finding flow in daily life.
So what are the conditions you need to enter that state of total immersion?
Well, you need a balance between the challenge of the task and your current skill level. If the task is too easy, you get bored. Too hard, you get anxious. You also need clear goals and, crucially, freedom from distraction. The happiest people in Csikszentmihalyi's research were simply those who maximized their time spent in this state.
I think we often assume flow requires these huge monumental tasks like writing a novel or climbing a mountain, but the sources highlight a more accessible form of it called microflow.
Yes, microflow is about cultivating intrinsic enjoyment in the mundane. It's the mindful appreciation of routine. Listening to your favorite music while commuting, deeply focusing on preparing a cup of coffee, or making the act of folding laundry a kind of meditative experience. It's about transforming routine tasks from chores into opportunities for small, focused engagement, finding joy in the action itself.
This constant mental engagement, finding microflow in the everyday, it brings us full circle, right back to Dr. Kamiya's core finding, that profound challenges can actually reinforce purpose.
Absolutely. We tend to associate Ikigai with peace and satisfaction. But the sense of existence, that feeling, is often experienced most vividly when an individual is overcoming some form of crisis or a complex challenge. The struggle itself confirms the meaning of their perseverance.
So resilience is key. It's the ability to hold on to that sense of purpose even when you're facing setbacks. It's reflected in that Japanese proverb, fall 7 times, rise 8.
And that philosophy is strikingly similar to Stoic thought. Focusing your energy on what's in your control, like your attitude and effort, and letting go of worry about circumstances outside your power. When you commit to rising 8 times, your focus shifts entirely to the effort and the mission, not the pain of falling. That is the essence of enacted purpose.
So what does this all mean for someone listening, someone looking to deepen their own sense of purpose? The wisdom of Ikigai seems to rest on 3 powerful, interconnected pillars. First, cultivating a core foundational sense of meaning or purpose. Second, committing to an intentional lifestyle rooted in diet, community, and consistent movement. And third, proactively cultivating flow and resilience in everyday moments.
And as we embrace these life-altering concepts, I think it's important to maintain a bit of intellectual honesty. While the anecdotal and cross-sectional data is incredibly persuasive, much of the research directly linking Ikigai to those specific health benefits, like lower allostatic load, it needs more rigorous longitudinal studies.
Right, so we need longer-term tracking.
We do. We need that to draw truly definitive conclusions about causality and the specific biological mechanisms at work.
That's a crucial point for anyone exploring the sources. But let's leave you with this final thought. If the feeling of having a life worth living is reinforced and experienced most vividly by overcoming hardship, as we saw in Dr. Kamiya's patients and the concept of resilience, how much of our fulfillment is actually dependent on the challenge itself versus the subsequent peace we seek after that challenge is resolved?
It's a great question. If purpose is often defined by the difficulty of the path, it raises the question, what happens when the path becomes easy? The sources mention that when a period of crisis finally subsides, people sometimes begin to question what their ikigai is again, often accompanied by this vague discomfort. Perhaps the search is only meaningful when the stakes are high. Something for you to ponder this week.